There's endless uses and there's endless types of mulch. We can use it to suppress weeds, we can use it to improve soil, adding nutrients to feed your plants over the course of a season. And you can use it as a frost protection as well. So if you've got dahlias or agapanthus or something like that, you can use it to really keep them cozy over winter. So come with me and we'll have a look at different types of mulches and how to use them. So this is Bracken mulch. Bracken mulch is a very acidic compost. We can use it for plants like camellias and rhododendrons, blueberries and things like that if you're talking about edible crops. It's not very nutrient rich, so it's not going to add lots of nutrients to the soil, but that's really good in some ways because sometimes you've got plants who don't want to have lots of nutrients around. It's very good at suppressing weeds in a really thick clay. You probably want about 3 or 4 inches there just to really suppress those weeds. One thing that I really like about it is it actually rots down quite quickly, so you can apply it year on year on year without the soil level raising too much. When you put it down, it really sets off the other plants that are coming through it. It's quite dark, especially when it's a little bit moist. So it's a really good backdrop for your plants. So down here now at the Wisley compost bay, this is where we make all of our in-house compost. You can see how it starts off behind me, and then 2 years later, this is the finished product. It's a very nutrient-rich mulch, so you want to use it in areas such as your rose gardens or around your roses, and on herbaceous plants like hostas, the hungry plants that really want those nutrients. Avoid putting it around things like salvias or rosemaries, lavenders that like a kind of dry, nutrient-poor soil. Compost is really good for soil moisture retention as well. It's got a range of different pore sizes, which really aids the moisture retention in any soil. So you can use it on a heavy soil, you can use it on a light soil. It really helps to kind of like bind the moisture into the ground. As a weed suppressant, it's very good, but that being said, you have to get your compost to a very, very high temperature in order to kill those weed seeds to start with. It's not an issue for us here because of the size of the compost mounds that we have, but at home it's really something to be aware of. So this is what will eventually be leaf mould. As you can see behind me, this is a range of different leaves. We've got oak leaves in there, we've got sweet chestnut, we've got beech, and they're really good leaves to use because they don't have a thick cuticle. So they'll rot down nice and easily. Things like sycamore, liquid amber, Prunus loriceraceus, your common laurel, will all need to be shredded before they're put into the leaf pile, otherwise it'll just take ages to rot down. Leaf mould is really good once it's rotten down. Obviously this is first year, so next year this will be really good to use. So if you've got a really claggy, heavy soil like clay, or if you've got really light sandy soil, this will do really well at binding your soil together. So I'm down here now at the A3 pads. As you can hear behind me, roadworks is still going on. Our next mulch is wood chip. This is well rotted wood chip. We use it quite a lot in the woodland here. It emulates what you would naturally have in a woodland situation, so that's really useful from that point of view. It's a really good weed suppressant. Actually, it's one of the best, especially if you've got a really thick profile there, and it's good at moisture retention. That being said, if it does dry out, it actually wicks some of the water away. So if you're trying to water a plant in, for example, and the wood chip has got dry, it tends to suck up all that water and it won't get through to the soil. So you have to really water down into the soil to get there. So from that point of view, it can be a bit of a problem if it dries out. It does rot down, but it rots down slowly, and therefore that nutrient capability that it has, or the nutrient qualities that it has, it takes quite a long time to get into the soil. This can be quite useful in some ways, because if you don't want to mulch every year, it will last a couple of years. If you're going to use wood chip, you really need to make sure it's well rotted. If you've got fresh wood chip, it'll actually wick nitrogen away from the soil, but it does look really, really good. It's quite dark, again, so a similar way we had with the bracken and the compost. That new foliage from bulbs or spring herbaceous plants that are coming up through the mulch is set off really, really nicely. So onto our last pile here, the original, the best. This is manure. We've used this all over the rose garden this year. It's really, really nutrient rich, so it's going to really feed those plants over the growing season, get a really good display of flowers. It's fantastic at moisture retention. It's got all those pore sizes that you want, so it'll improve that soil structure over time. It's a brilliant weed suppressant, and you don't get those same problems that we talked about with the homemade compost, the weed seed still being in there because it's passed through an animal, all those have been killed off. The only issues with it is that sometimes you get manure that isn't quite well rotted, and that can really burn the plant, so something to be careful of. If it's got that smell or if it's really steaming, you can tell that it's not quite rotted. Just give it a little bit more time, or if you really do need to use it, make sure you keep it away from the crown of the plants, keep it away from the stems so you don't ring bark your roses or whatever by accident. It's still that dark colour that we've talked about with the compost and the bracken mulch, you know, so all of those herbaceous plants that you might have coming through look really fantastic, set off by this mulch. So you can see the range of benefits you'll get from the different types of mulch I've shown you today. It's well worth thinking about the situation you're using it in and getting the right mulch for the right job. But if you do it, you will see all the benefits through the growing season, and it'll keep you warm doing it in the winter too.